My mic wasn't on, so there we go. That's better.
Okay.
Yeah, we're trying out some fancy new stuff on the channel. I'm still controlling it all myself, learning as we go. So thanks for the patience, everybody, on any hiccups that we do have. Yeah, I just got OBS up and running to create this kind of studio look here so that I could have guests and we can react to videos live. And I thought, hey, what better way to start out a first ever live react than with Chris from Guilty Words. So long story short, yeah, say hello, Chris.
Hey, everybody. How are you?
Yeah.
It's great to be here. Thanks, Josh.
Yeah, awesome to have you. Long story short, when I released my reaction video on the Ted Bundy interview that we're about to watch now, somebody put in the comments that there's this channel called Guilty Words, and it's by this linguist who studies the spoken word, the words, and what every word means, and all of this, and blah blah blah. And someone a lot smarter than me, and I should check out that video. So I ran over to the channel immediately. I checked out the video, and it was super interesting to listen to all that Chris had to say about it. So I got in touch, and we said, hey, would you like to do something together live and maybe like break it down for us, since you guys just normally have to listen to dumb old Josh kind of wander through things. So Chris, welcome, and why don't you tell us a little bit about Guilty Words before we get into the video here?
So as a former English teacher and a professional writer and basically a word nerd and book nerd and a true crime lover, Guilty Words kind of combines the two. And rather than looking at straight evidence and discussing it, we look at the words that have to do with the case, whether it's a testimony or a confession, letters that were written, texts that were sent, and we kind of break it down to see why did they say it that way? What are they leaving out? Where are they getting kind of squishy? That's an official term, and just to try and see if we can't get a little bit more out of it than there might be on the surface.
Yeah. Awesome. So I think we'll just get right into it. So as everybody knows, as you're familiar, when we do the Reacts video, we're going to be pausing. People are saying that my sound is bad. Is my sound still bad, guys? I know the comments are kind of behind, so it's hard to say. Let me just check my sound here. It should be... My levels are bouncing all right, so... Okay, we're gonna get going. Okay, so we're gonna just get into it. We're gonna stop and start whenever we see fit. If you guys have questions, Chris, you can see the comments coming in down there below as well.
I can if I put my glasses on.
Okay, well, I might pull some in. I'll pause it whenever we're gonna talk about something, and we'll just get into the video here.
Okay.
Okay.
Ted, it is about 2:30 in the afternoon. You are scheduled to be executed tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock if you don't receive another stay. What is going through your mind? What thoughts?
Okay, can we stop it right there for a second?
yeah.
I know. I promise it's not going to be every 3 words.
No, it's okay. It's okay. That's what we're here for.
It's there's something I noticed here that I didn't notice when I was making my video, and or at least didn't pay attention to, and that's Dobson is saying it's 2:30 and you're scheduled to be executed unless you get a stay. And I guess he'd already had a couple of stays of execution. And I know that I was thinking along the lines of, when you think about who the audience is, like who is Bundy really talking to? Dobson, we know it's all his followers and his groupies. But I thought this was sort of Bundy's last chance to sort of control the narrative, which I think it is. But I'm wondering if he isn't trying to make himself look good in the hopes of getting a stay of execution in a couple of hours. So.
Sure, I wondered that too, but my question on that was how, I mean, this is 1989. I mean, they're literally shooting this interview on film. By the time they have the opportunity to even process this video, this film, like, I mean, who does he think is possibly going to get a chance to see it? The only thing that he could potentially be thinking in that regard would be that him speaking to Dobson, and that maybe Dobson has some kind of pull somewhere in some sort of political arena and has the ear of somebody that might be able to do something, right? Because there's no way they're going to get these words in front of anybody in time, you know?
That's right. That's a really good point. The film part of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess he was setting his legacy.
Yeah.
With fingers crossed for a stay.
Fingers crossed too that maybe Dobson knows a couple guys, right? Because those guys kind of do. Look at like Billy Graham and stuff, right? They do.
Yeah.
So.
And Dobson was a powerhouse in his day. So.
Yeah. Last few days.
Well, I won't kid you to say that it's something that I feel that I am in control of, or something that I've come to terms with, because I haven't. It's a moment by moment thing. Sometimes I feel very tranquil, and other times I don't feel tranquil at all. What's going through my mind right now is to use the minutes and hours that I have left as fruitfully as possible and see what happens. It helps to live in the moment in the essence that we use it productively. So right now I'm feeling calm, and in large part because I'm here with you.
Aw, isn't that nice?
Yeah. So I made the comment in my video on, in large part, that I'm here with you, him talking about being here with Dobson, and how I would, if I was in the room with Dobson, that I'd punch Dobson in the face. And then people read into that and were like, wait, so you're going to punch Dobson in the face, but you're okay with Bundy? I'm like, that's not what I'm saying. Or that I'm not saying that Dobson is worse than Bundy, but I am saying that I don't think he was a great dude personally.
No.
I don't.
No, but that is a little schmoozy. But because I'm here with you, it's like, ick.
Yeah.
For the record, you are guilty of killing many women and girls.
Yes. Yes, that's true.
Ted, how did it happen? Take me back. What are the antecedents of the behavior that we've seen? So much grief, so much sorrow, so much pain for so many people. Where did it start? How did this moment come about?
That's the question of the hour, and one that not only people much more intelligent than I have been working on for years, but one that I've been working on for years and trying to understand. Is there enough time to explain it all? I don't know. I think I understand it, though. Understand what happened to me, to the extent that I can see how certain feelings and ideas developed in me to the point where I began to act out on them. Certain very violent and very destructive feelings.
All right, let's go back then to those roots. First of all, you, as I understand it, were raised in what you consider to have been a healthy home.
Absolutely.
You were not physically abused. You were not.
So here we start with a fairy tale of Leave It to, I mean, he even says it wasn't Leave It to Beaver, but this whole healthy home thing, and that's what Dobson needs. Dobson needs him to be in this nice Christian home so that pornography is the bad guy. And I don't know, it is kind of amazing how murderers will whitewash their family life. Like they don't want to get mom mad at them or something by saying something bad about mom or dad.
Now,
But it wasn't that great a childhood.
Yeah, no. So before we get into what his childhood actually was, based on that comment you just said about murderers wanting to whitewash their childhoods, I saw a couple comments on that point on my video that I thought were interesting. That not that I touched on it in my initial watch through, but that people brought to my attention in the comments. And one of those things was that a guy like him, being such a narcissist and also a sociopath, does not ever want to admit that they even had a bad childhood, because that makes them a victim and they lack power in that situation. So they, which was very interesting in a way, right? Like that idea.
That is interesting, because later when he's blaming it on this like demon of pornography that took him over kind of thing, he's a victim there, but it's a victim of an abstract idea as opposed to a victim of his parents and his upbringing. There's no relationship there, so maybe it has something to do with that. He's okay with some stray magazine corrupting him, but not his parents.
Yeah. Well, maybe it's also too because, like, I'm the great Ted Bundy. Of course, I come from a wonderful family, and of course, my parents were. You know what I mean? Like, there could be that level of narcissism can act like that as well, I believe.
That's true.
And as far as his childhood was concerned, yes, he I think he didn't find out that his sister was actually his mother until he was in his 20s by some accounts.
Yeah, at least late teens to early 20s. And
and his grandfather, there's rumors out there that his grandfather is his father. Now apparently that's been debunked, but there's also a lot, even from other family members, that have said that that grandfather was actually quite horrifically abusive physically.
I've heard that too,
to both him and his grandmother, I guess. His grandmother,
His grandmother, yeah. And I heard that his grandmother, mother, wanted to leave him and came home without him from the unwed mothers, and the grandfather made her go back and get him.
Wow.
Which is a little harsh.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So definitely some whitewashing of the childhood. And also it's like if you get into, like I was saying this to you in a call that we had about, like, there was no physical abuse, and it's like, okay, well, I don't know, maybe not by 70s standards. Or like 50s or 60s standards, but read a couple of Dobson's books about raising kids, because that's what he wrote books about. He talks about beating kids like dogs, basically. And like so to him that's but it's pretty extreme, and like to him that's normal, that's not abuse. So it's like, okay, but like you were beaten severely. Probably
you were beaten for a good cause as opposed to just
and that's normal. That's not abuse. That's just good old-fashioned discipline by their standards, right? Like that's just what everyone, like.
Sexually abused. You were not emotionally abused.
No way. And that's part of the tragedy of this whole situation, is because I grew up in a wonderful home with two dedicated and loving parents, one of 5 brothers and sisters. A home where we as children were the focus of my parents' lives, where we regularly attended church, 2 Christian parents who did not drink, they did not smoke, there was no gambling, there was no physical abuse or fighting in the home. I'm not saying this was Leave It to Beaver.
It wasn't a perfect home.
Well, no, I don't know that such a home exists, but it was a fine, solid Christian home, and nobody, I hope no one will try to take the easy way out and to try to blame or otherwise accuse my family of contributing to this, because I know, and I'm trying to tell you as honestly as I know what happened, and I think this is a message I want to get across. But as a young,
So a couple things jump out at me there. He hopes nobody will take the easy way out and blame his parents. And I would think that would be a harder way out than blaming pornography. Blaming pornography seems like the easy way out to me. But I remember hearing in a different interview with Dobson where he got really upset when he was talking about all these psychologists who were trying to say that because he found out that his sister was his mother, it warped him and everything else. And he was scoffing that they could never get him figured out. It was a very different tone than this one.
Yeah.
But take the easy way out. And then he starts off with and I didn't catch this before either, the tragedy of this whole situation is, that he was raised in this good home and this thing. And tragedy, I guess that strikes me because the last 3 cases I've looked at, the person who did the murders called the situation a tragedy. It's such a cop-out word. It's like, it's not a tragedy, it's horrific and you caused it.
Yeah.
It's not something from external that happened. It's you killed people.
So is that language in a sense a way of not taking the responsibility? It's like this is an unavoidable tragedy that
the whole big situation. Yeah,
like I'm a victim just like they are, kind of.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, the victim of a tragedy. It's like, no, you're the perpetrator of horror, not tragedy. Okay.
Wow, that's wild.
Young boy, and I mean a boy of 12 or 13, certainly, that I encountered outside the home again, in the local grocery store, the local drugstore, the softcore pornography, what people call softcore. But as I think I explained to you last night, Dr. Dobson, in an anecdote, that as young boys do, we explored the back roads and sideways and byways of our neighborhood, and oftentimes people would dump the garbage and whatever they were cleaning out of their house, and from time to time we'd come across pornographic books of a harder nature than more graphic.
A couple of things quick too.
This makes me laugh.
This made me laugh too, and I called it out a little bit in my video. I was like, I rode my bicycle around. Granted, I wasn't the 60s. I rode my bicycle around all the time in the summer. We were always digging through stuff. The amount of just loose porn that we would come across was. I don't think it ever happened. And I mentioned that in my video, and people were on me in the comments. They were like, "We found it all the time." It's like, I don't know where you guys live, man, but maybe it's an American thing. I'm Canadian, right? Maybe we just have different ways of disposing of our porn here. I don't know. We had somebody down in the comments too say, I just want to address one of the questions down there quick. Just someone said, my question is, how did he escape jail 3 times? Because it was the 1960s. He is Bundy, the mastermind. Not really. Literally, he was so charming that they just left him alone in a library on a 2nd floor in some sort of building related to the prison, and Bundy he just jumped out an open window. Mm-hmm. That's it. That's all he did to get out. It was more stupidity than stupidity on their part than genius on his part by any stretch.
Although his second escape was a little better. He up through the ceiling. He starved himself so that he could fit through the ceiling vent and climb out. That was that was a little more creative. But
Were you gonna say something too? Were you gonna say something too on the discarded porn, or should we continue?
Just the same thing. I walk around the neighborhood. I can't really say I dumpster dive and find porn or anything. I'm just all right.
And we were actively looking at times, you know what I mean? When you're a 13-year-old boy running around with your friends, that's what you're after. It just never happened though. So I don't know where was he raised again? Was he
I'm blanking on it and I should know.
No, I can't remember.
Does anybody in the chat know?
Yeah,
we'll ask our expert.
Let us know in the chat because you guys will know, but we'll continue from here.
You might say a more explicit nature than we would encounter, let's say, in your local grocery store. And this also included such things as, let's say, detective magazines and more hardcore.
Those that involve violence.
Yes, yes, and and this is something I think I want to emphasize is the most damaging kinds of pornography. Again, I'm talking from personal experience. Hard, real, personal experience. The most damaging kinds of pornography are those that involve violence and sexual violence, because the wedding of those two forces, as I know only too well, brings about behavior that is just too terrible to describe.
Now,
so I did an entire video like 6 months ago, maybe more than that, maybe a year ago, on this concept, and I'm gonna butcher it now when I'm not scripting myself and I'm just trying to speak to it. But I did this video, not whether or not having access, like a guy like him who was into violence and sex mixed together. There are avenues for people to do that consensually and blah 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 blah. And in today's world, with the access to not only the internet, but like, and not just stuff like Pornhub, but communities like FetLife and things where you can find communities of people. Now, he's an extreme case. He's never going to be able to satiate what he was after. But I wonder for some, because like, where would you find that kind of connection and those types of other people like that without the internet? Would it have like delayed something? Would it have been enough to like join a group on FetLife and meet some people and be able to like act out some of these things and certain role play, consensual, non-consent and all that? And I don't think so was the end result of my video, but like, it was just kind of an interesting thought. Like, they could maybe find a magazine or two back in the day, but never real connection. Were there groups? I don't know, because it's seven.
My understanding, and not personal experience, was that
Sure.
it's almost like it used to be on Craigslist. The personal ads that were so popular back then, and that people read every day. There was certain codes and different things you could use to meet up with people if you wanted to. And they even had entire sections just on meeting people, but
Yeah.
you wouldn't put this kind of thing in there. So, and I don't know, I imagine there are networks, and generally if you're an addict, you can find what you're looking for.
Yeah.
But I agree with you that that may have worked for a while, but like any addiction, that wouldn't have been enough. He'd want the real thing.
More and more and more and more and more. Yeah.
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 walk me through that. What was going on in your mind at that time?
What's he gonna walk Dobson through? I missed that. He's gonna walk Dobson through some violent porn. Dobson, you perv. Dobson's getting the rocks off here. Tell me a little bit more about this. Dobson's only had sex from one side of a bed sheet where he can't see someone's face. Sorry.
Okay, before we go any further, I think it's important to me, and that people believe what I'm saying, to tell you that I'm not blaming pornography and not saying that it caused me to go out.
Yeah, tell us about
yes,
that.
Yes, he is. That's the whole point of this, is to blame pornography. I don't. It's important people believe me. You're the biggest liar ever.
So,
anyway, yeah.
Because according to him, if he's not here to blame it, then why is he then also here to like warn us against it? Because he tries to also take that stance, right, where he's like, I, Ted Bundy, will save future generations by warning you of the dangers of this. But like, if it's not to blame, then why is a warning needed? I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, he's full of shit.
He does kind of sort of I'm going to take some personal responsibility. Yeah, I killed him and everything, but then he tries to wiggle around it.
Right.
Things. And I take full responsibility for whatever I've done and all the things that I've done. That's not the question here. The question and the issue is how this kind of literature contributed and helped mold and shape the kinds of violent behavior.
It fueled your fantasies, didn't it?
Well, in the beginning, it fuels this kind of thought process. Then, at a certain time, it's instrumental in what I would say crystallizing it, making into something which is almost like a separate entity inside. And that.
So, talk to me about that. I feel like you had something to say about that in your video, this separate entity.
I did.
business.
The separate entity, the devil made me do it argument.
Right.
You know, like this thing just overcame me. I was in a trance. I came out of it and I couldn't believe I did it. And then it came back and I did it again and again and again. And it got worse and worse and worse. But yeah, the whole lack of responsibility. I take full responsibility, but I was overtaken by this, you know, porn need.
Right.
Like, oh, come on.
Yeah. Like, I've done this series called, I've been working on this series for a long time. It's called Where Did All the Serial Killers Go? And each kind of episode, because it's about this phenomena of like, if you look at like the Radford database of like active serial killers and all of this, it really peaked up in the 70s. And since the 80s, it's been on a free fall. And it's like this graph, it's like this, and then it just totally plummets through the 90s and it's down to like hardly anything. And so it's like, well, what's the reason for that? In each episode, I would examine a different theory, because there's all these theories out there, right? Reality is, it's like, obviously, it's a combination of all these different things, right? Better, like DNA, policing techniques, better forensics, all that stuff, technology, everything, right, comes into play. There's even like abortion theories and all these things. And every time I do an episode and I just focus on one theory for that episode and talk about what this theory is, and everyone freaks out. They're like, lead poisoning was one. Everyone freaks out that it's not lead, and it's like, well, I'm not saying, like I said in the video, I'm not saying that it's this. I'm saying that this is a theory. This could be a contributing factor in the grand scheme. It's like a salad, right, of all these different things stacked on top of a person who's already struggling with something, and then all that together can make this perfect pressure cooker that then goes off. Because people will say, well, a guy like Bundy, yeah, even if he was abused, well, how come, like, then why isn't everybody that way? And well, it's not that. He's got a bunch of other factors together that make him that, right? Like, and sure, I mean, don't you think that, yeah, porn, obviously, and that kind of thing, in some way, sure, it could be a contributing factor, right? But as the main thing, no, right?
Yeah. No, the main thing's a lot more complex and dark than some magazine we found on the side of the street, supposedly.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, the magazine.
Yeah. Now, have you looked at the? Oh, I'm sorry, I cut you off again.
You go ahead.
The brain scans that they've done, and the different, to say that the brains of serial killers, they can pick them out. If you a forensic neurologist can look at the brain scans of 12 different people and pick out the ones who are the serial killers based on certain form figures in their brain. And
I haven't, but that's why I've kept my brain scans sealed. I'm kidding, but no, I haven't even seen anything on that. I'll have to look into that. I know that I thought they took a look at Dahmer's brain and didn't find anything. Didn't they?
Yeah, they don't find it all the time,
Yeah.
but there's a commonality, and I can't remember what part of the brain it's in, but they're like, and that gets a little creepy, because then it's like, well, what do? Start scanning children to see if they have this?
Yeah, was this Minority Report? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Or was that Gattaca? Yeah. But you could do if you ask the chat too, one of the main causes of serial killing, they'll tell you probably haven't dug deep enough on my channel yet to see the swing set business, but that's what
okay.
it is. Anyway.
I will look for it.
Point, you're at the verge, or I was at the verge of acting out on these kinds of thoughts.
Now, I really want to understand that. You had gone about as far as you could go in your own fantasy life with printed material, and you made or printed and video or film
Film,
photos,
magazines, what have you.
And then there was the urge to take that little step or big step over to a physical event.
And it happens, it happened in stages, gradually. It doesn't necessarily, not to me at least, happen overnight. My experience with, I'd say, pornography generally, but with pornography that deals on a violent level with sexuality, is that once you become addicted to it, and I look at this as a kind of addiction, like other kinds of addiction, I would keep looking for more potent, more explicit, more graphic kinds of material. Like an addiction, you keep craving something which is harder.
Not always the case, but because like a cigarette addiction, you're not craving harsher cigarettes. but I've talked a lot about the addiction thing on my channel and the comparison to like this compulsion that a lot of these people have, in a way how it kind of mirrors the compulsions of addiction, right? Like serial killers are known for cool down periods in between murders, as you know, probably, right? So it's like, and that's because they've satiated that desire, that internal like compulsion, right? And then they act on it, and then, oh, I feel good, like I had my cigarette, now I'm not addicted to cigarettes, so I feel fine, I'm totally fine, right? And then it's like that half-life is over, and then that addiction, that craving starts to build back up until they have to act on it again. And then for some different people, they have like different half-life, right? Like BTK was able to go years sometimes in between, right? But it still would like creep back up and come back up until he like had to go. It's like someone who has a drug addiction or blah blah blah.
Yeah,
it's very interesting.
And then sometimes the time between the killings gets shorter and shorter, that cool down time, or the type of killing they do gets more and more violent.
Dahmer was like that.
Yeah, Dahmer was.
Dahmer was interesting in his interview. He said that the first one was unplanned, which is quite common. It was like when it was a serial killer that it's not planned, but that opportunity presents itself and they take it. But it wasn't like planned. But then he managed to like go a long stretch after his first Dahmer, and then but after the second, he said then he didn't try any longer to stop it. So it was like this moment of like acceptance of like, well, you know what, this is who I am, and I'm gonna lean into it or whatever, right? Like pretty wild. Yeah.
Something which gives you a greater sense of excitement, until you reach the point where the pornography only goes so far. You reach that jumping off point where you begin to wonder if maybe actually doing it will give you that which is beyond just reading about it or looking at it.
How long did you stay at that point before you actually...
Thompson, I'm sorry, this is really rude, but yeah, he looks like he's like jerking off under the table. like he's, how long did you stay at that? Like, just calm down.
Assaulted someone.
Well, yeah, you see, that is a very delicate point in my own development, and we're talking about having reached the point or a gray area that surrounded that point over a course of
you don't remember
years.
How long that
was? I would say a couple of years. And what I was dealing with there were very strong inhibitions against criminal behavior or violent behavior that had been conditioned into me, bred into me in my environment, in my neighborhood, in my church, in my school. Things which said, no, this is wrong. I mean, even to think of it is wrong, but certainly to do it is wrong. And I'm on that edge, and you might say the last vestiges of restraint, the barriers to actually doing something were being tested constantly and assailed through the kind of fantasy life that was fueled largely by pornography.
He's well spoken, like, I mean, to an extent. Vestiges?
Yeah. I mean, he is well spoken, but it's also vague. They, to do something, he never really gets down to start grabbing and killing women, assaulting and killing women. It's always just, well, I had these urges, and then I wanted to know if it'd be better to do it in person. But it's always it and something, and not nothing specific. They're steering away from his actual actions as much as possible. And even the pornography doesn't explain a lot of what he did, because he did some pretty horrific things even after the women were dead. So, yeah.
Well,
and we're not going.
If you're talking about what you were saying earlier on about, what are his intentions of this interview, whether they're to a last minute plea or to redefine to control the narrative of his legacy or whatever. I mean, he's not going to want to get into those details.
No, he's not.
He's going to stay away from his right? But
yeah,
why wouldn't Dobson ask?
Well, Dobson does bring up one of them, which surprised me. But Dobson, I mean, this is going to be televised too, so they have to keep a certain level. And they did mention earlier that they talked the night before. So this whole thing has been mapped out, and if not exactly scripted, the questions and the answers and the direction has already been figured out by the two of them. It's not really all that spontaneous.
Right. Interesting. And to answer your question, Wednesday, 100%. I wonder if Josh could take Ted. It's an ongoing thing. I have a video series coming out called "Could I Take Him?" Are you familiar with Albert Fish?
Mm-hmm.
I say I wouldn't want to fight him because he'd enjoy it. Because he's like a weird masochist. But I'm not a tough guy. I've never been in a fight in my life, so I don't know.
Remember what pushed you over that edge? Do you remember the decision to go for it? Do you remember where you did?
Well, isn't that exact wording from Dobson right there? Do you remember what? Like when it pushed you over the edge?
Yeah, what pushed you over the edge, or what pushed?
And when it pushed you over the edge, he said, didn't he?
Yeah, when you decided to go for it, that sounds like you're talking to a football player about some goal or something. I'm like, go for it. When you decided to start killing people, you mean? Go for it.
So he's using a very whitewashed language as well, right? Like very euphemism. Your waste management type language.
Yeah.
Interesting. But you think like, because Dobson wants to use this for his own, like each guy has their own intentions with this, right? Dobson wants to use this to like further his pornography campaigns and earn money for his organizations and all of this, and right, he wants a face, like, look at this evil man, right?
Yep.
Who is saying that porn made him do this. It's like almost like he's got his poster boy here.
Yep.
So he's almost like maybe he's got to keep Ted happy in the interview too, to an extent, for fear of like he needs to get what he wants out of Ted, so he wants to like kind of go along with his stuff and not really challenge him.
Yeah, there isn't a lot of challenging. All this seems really pre-agreed, pre-chewed food kind of thing. And he is just taking whatever Ted says at face value, which is probably why Ted picked him. I mean, he said at the beginning, there were hundreds of reporters that wanted to interview you and you picked me or something like that. And it's like, because it would be a softball thing, they could each do their scripts.
And I think because he thought that, of all these people, that Dobson maybe had some sort of connection, some sort of potential pull.
Yeah, that's true.
Whereas your average like CNN reporter or whatever you guys had in the States, I don't know at the time.
or wouldn't, the other reporters wouldn't have bothered trying to get him a stay of execution.
Yeah.
You know? But,
Yeah. Yeah, like Dobson and him could have gone on a national tour together.
speaking tour.
Yeah. Raising kids with Ted Bundy.
And he had one too, surprisingly. He's disappeared.
So, a couple of questions. Somebody says, what kind of scumbags were guys in their 20s back then if this guy was charming and attractive? Well, I get people constantly keep saying that I look like him, so in the comments, you look like him in the thumbnail. I thought you were him in the thumbnail, and I said, I don't want to hear it. And then Wednesday says, Josh couldn't take Eileen. That is very true. I wouldn't fuck with Eileen. No way.
No,
The strike
nobody
10, man.
should. She's a scary, was a scary lady.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just crush a beer can on my forehead and yeah. All right, here we go.
Decided to throw caution to the wind.
Again, when you say pushed, I know what you're saying. I don't want to
Yes,
infer again
I understand that.
that I was
That point is
that I was
clear.
some helpless kind of a victim, and yet we're talking about an influence that is the influence of violent types of media and violent pornography, which was an indispensable link in the chain of behavior, the chain of events that led to the behaviors, to the assaults, to the murders, and what have you. It's a very difficult thing to describe. The sensation, of reaching that point where I knew that it was like something had, say, snapped. That I knew that I couldn't control it anymore. That these barriers that I had learned as a child, that had been instilled in me, were not enough to hold me back with respect to seeking out and harming somebody.
What?
It's that language again, like where I couldn't control it anymore.
Yeah.
It's like the language there to me, it's more like where I wouldn't control it anymore, or I didn't want to control it anymore, where I stopped trying to control myself. Like, it's not that you couldn't, it's not some force so great that you don't have a choice. It's like that thing with alcohol that I've talked about in the video too. You had a choice. At some point you decided to stop trying to restrain yourself and to act on what it was, these urges, right? Like, it's not...
Well, and he, you know, he's like, oh, the things like church and teachings and all that they just didn't stop me anymore. It's like, well, in the end, it's not their job to stop you. It's your job to stop you. And he still has that both ways about him. Like, I don't want to say I was a helpless victim yet. And then he goes on to say about these urges and things. So he wants to, like you said, be a narcissist who's in control. But then to do that, he's going to have to take more responsibility. So he's walking this tightrope between blaming something outside himself or a compulsion inside himself versus having total control. Like, yes, I did this and I enjoyed every minute of it. Even as he was talking about it, that was some of the most animated he got when he was like reflecting on the buildup.
Yeah, it was almost gross. Yeah,
it really is.
Yeah, and I think he's like trying to play that moment off as like pensive or like introspective, but it comes off as almost like gross or something. It didn't read authentic to me. But
no,
that's just me. But I don't know. It didn't. It felt performative. And yeah.
Would it be accurate to call that a frenzy, a sexual frenzy?
Well, yes, that's one way to describe it. A compulsion,
Somebody didn't turn
building
the
up
phone off.
Yeah, that always made me chuckle. It was like, I know it's not what he was thinking, but it was like, wait a minute, is that the governor? Is that my stay? It's like the red phone on the wall. Like, you know, clearly that's like that isn't what he was thinking, but it for this very second, like it was.
This destructive energy. Again, another factor here that I haven't mentioned is the use of alcohol. But I think that what alcohol did, in conjunction with, let's say, my exposure to pornography, was alcohol reduced my inhibitions. At the same time, the fantasy life that was fueled by pornography eroded them further.
In the early days, you were nearly always about half drunk when you did these things.
Sorry?
I'm not, I mean, yes, we all know alcohol lowers inhibitions, but I didn't get the impression he was drunk when he snatched women. Like when he was at Lake Sammamish, he was able to walk up to women and convincingly, you know, say my arm is broken, and you know there was no, but even the ones who said no didn't say this drunk guy or he smelled of alcohol or anything like that. So
Yeah.
maybe it lowered his inhibitions and trying to talk himself into it, but it's not like he got drunk and then went out and found some women and attacked them. He was way too careful and planned for that. So yeah, I'm not buying that one.
Yeah.
Nice try, Ted. Nice try.
That whole fucking cast thing, man.
Yeah.
It feels so like, it feels so almost like it's terrible, but it almost feels comical, like that's what he was doing. Like you almost can't believe that would work. Like, and I don't know, in today's age, I don't think that goes down. I don't know.
No. It's no, I think it's because he was probably the first one to try it, or at least the first one we've heard to try something like that.
Oh, my arm's broken. Can you help me get my canoe on my roof? And then they're like, sure. Like, my car's actually like 3 kilometers up in the woods though, and they're like, okay. It's like, drive it down here. That, like, I don't know. It's you'd think, you know, and I mean, I guess the modern equivalent of it now that we're all supposed to warn our daughters about is at the shopping mall, if the man comes running in saying his baby's in the car and isn't breathing and he's wearing a nice suit and everything, and don't go with him. I haven't heard that. Oh.
Yeah, it's the guy comes in and he needs somebody to help call because his child is sick and gets you out to the dark part of the parking lot.
Wow.
So.
That's so disgusting.
They're just people. Yeah. I'm glad most people aren't like that.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yes.
Was that always true?
I would say that was generally the case, almost without exception.
All right, if I can understand it now, there's this battle going on within. There are the conventions that you've been taught. There's the right and wrong that you learned as a child, and then there is this unbridled passion fueled by your plunge into hardcore violent pornography, and those things are at war with each other.
Yes.
And then with the alcohol diminishing the inhibitions, you let go.
Well, yes, and you can summarize it that way, and that's accurate, certainly. And it just occurred to me that some people would say that, well, I've seen that stuff and it doesn't do anything to me. And I can understand that. Virtually everyone can be exposed to so-called pornography, and while they're aroused to it to one degree or another, not go out and do anything wrong.
Addictions are like that. They affect some people more than they affect others.
But what he's missing there too is that not just that anyone can see violent pornography and not do what he did, but other people that are attracted to violent pornography can see it and still not do what he did, right? There's a difference, kind of, right? Like, yeah, sure, like the most people don't get anything from seeing like violent pornography, like, you know, to an extent, but there are people that do, and consensually, and they don't do anything wrong with that either, right?
Yeah, it stays in the fantasy and there's a boundary on it, and
Yeah.
it's not an automatic, you watch this and it has to go in this route. But
Yeah.
plus this whole thing is, it's so neatly packaged, like it takes psychology completely out of it. And even there was enough psychology back then for them to realize that it's not as simple as, oh, well, you found some porn, you looked at it too much, and then you got drunk, and then you killed somebody because, you know, you had these urges. It just negates all the complexity of the human mind and the motivations and the addiction and just what made Bundy Bundy.
Mm-hmm.
There is a percentage of people affected by hardcore pornography in a very violent way, and you're obviously one of them.
That was a major component, and I don't know why I was vulnerable to it. All I know is that it had an impact on me that was just so central to the development of the violent behavior that I engaged in.
Ted, after you committed your first murder, what was the emotional effect on you? What happened in the days after that?
Well, again, please understand that even all these years later, it's very difficult to talk about it, and reliving it through talking about it is difficult, to say the least. But I want you to understand what happened. It was like coming out of some kind of horrible trance or dream. I can only liken it to after, you know, I don't want to over-dramatize it, but to have been possessed by something so awful and so alien, and then the next morning wake up from it, remember what happened, and realize that basically, I mean, in the eyes of the law, certainly in the eyes of God, you're responsible.
So this I struggle with a little bit, because it's like, there's a part of me that doesn't doubt that, like, I'm gonna be careful what I say, like how I word this, but like, that doesn't doubt that after he did something, after he committed a murder, after he satiated that, like, compulsion of his, that there would be a period of time immediately afterwards, for a day or however long, where he could, like, potentially feel like he's sociopath, so who knows, but like could feel awful about it. But it's not enough that they would start to build up again, and then that would overtake that, and then he'd act on it again. But then when you do it, it's like, I've said it on this channel before, and I don't mean to like take away from the seriousness of it by using the expression post-nut clarity, but like it's like because it's a very sexual thing for him, and it's like people who have fetishes is knowing that, like, when they kind of like finish from their fetish, there's a period of time where they can look at that thing and go and feel nothing about it until they're far enough away and it starts to rebuild, and they go like somebody with a foot fetish or something, for that period of time, they're like, they can look at a foot and see nothing and go like, what the hell, why is that a thing, and that's so weird that I like that, or whatever it may be. And then it starts to build up, and then they go for it again. And it's like, so on some level, like, I don't doubt that he could have that kind of like period of time where he's legitimately like, this is so effed up, what am I doing? But then just gives way to this compulsion again, and it's not enough to stop him from acting on what he wants for his own selfish things.
I guess a couple things strike me in what you're saying and what Bundy's saying, and one is Dobson specifically asking about after his first kill, and I could see more what you're saying after the first kill, the shock of it, and the regret, and the what do I do, but as it went on, and there was so much planning. I think he enjoyed the whole control and all the planning of it. It'd be one thing if he just were randomly grabbing people and killing them. Not that that'd be any better, but
Yeah.
but the whole it was the whole,
Yeah.
I don't know, the whole setup.
BTK's talked about that. Like, if you're familiar with him, he's
Oh yeah.
not that he's my favorite, because I don't have a favorite, because they're not fucking colors. But he talked a lot about. He called them projects.
Yeah, and all the planning.
There's so much of it was about that, like initial stock and that planning and all of that. That was all part of it. That all culminated with the kill, if you will. Yeah.
Have you been following the Long Island serial killers in Canada? Does it get a lot of press up there? The Lisk.
Yeah, I was talking about getting his haircut. No, that was Wednesday's idea, I should say. But yes, we were doing a live about him a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking about how bad his haircut was. But yes, I've been following it to an extent. I've compared him to BTK in a lot of ways. This family. Yeah,
because of the planning and the meticulousness of everything he did, and his notes and his notebooks and his.
And then the stupidity of keeping a serial killer checklist on your computer too. But like.
Yeah.
But I've talked. Yeah, I've often said that those guys are like the guys like him and the guy like BTK are the ones that I consider to be the scariest types. Scarier than a Richard Ramirez, let's say. Like, to me, it's that, and it's because of that like compartmentalization. These guys that can like exist in society as like he's an architect. BTK was like a family man. So was Rex, family man. BTK, not that he was respected in his community. I think a lot of people didn't really like him very much, but like he still was like a member of his church. And like just to be able to do all that and have a wife and all that, and then be able to switch that off and do all these other things in your other compartment of your compartmentalization and be BTK, that's terrifying to me. That ability to somebody can do that. I think that's way scarier than because that's like that's the guy next door, you know, like.
Yeah, it's not the bushy-haired stranger. Yeah.
Wednesday says I think you can pull it off, Josh. I think you should get the haircut Wednesday. We talked about that, like if you were going to be a cornflake. By the way, you can join the channel. If you guys want to join the channel, you can click the join thing. And you should also be checking out @Guilty Words. If you... We'll pop a link here somewhere at some point, but you can also, if you just search Guilty Words on YouTube, it comes up quick. It's got the cat logo.
Yes.
And you should definitely check it out. Really interesting stuff. We'll plug that again as we go.
To wake up in the morning and realize what I had done, and with a clear mind and all my essential moral and ethical feelings intact at that moment. Absolutely horrified that I was capable of doing something like that.
You really hadn't known that before?
There is just absolutely no way to describe. First, the brutal urge to do that kind of thing, and then what happens is once it has been more or less satisfied and recedes, you might say, or spent, that sense, that kind of energy level recedes, and basically I became myself again. And I want people to understand this too, and I'm not saying this gratuitously because it's important that people understand this, that basically I was a normal person. I wasn't some...
You like could masquerade as a normal person.
Yeah, he could put a normal face on, but I don't think he's going to pass as a normal person. Yeah, nice try.
I think he could pass. Don't you think? Like for the most part, like he did. He fooled a lot of people for a long time, right? But underneath, he was definitely not normal. a normal, right?
Whatever
So
that
he's
is.
talking about that, like, he's kind of talking about what I was just talking about there too. This, like, oh, I did my thing. I feel fine. I'm not addicted. I'm just normal now. Until it came again, and then he had to, who knows.
Well, and he just said, like, the next morning when I woke up with my moral and ethics intact or something like that, his wording is like, well, if they were that intact, then you would have gone to the police and just confessed, or you would have stopped, or you would have taken some action or something not to do it again. Yeah. So they weren't that intact.
Yeah. I feel like he, I did one on Ed Kemper. Are you familiar much with Kemper?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And his talk about how he turned himself in, and how he, Ed was like, this has got to stop. Otherwise more women are going to die. So I turned myself in. I'm a hero. And it's like, well, I think in reality what happened was you realized you had killed your mother and your mother's best friend in your own home, and there was not a chance in hell you were getting away with that. So after running for 4 hours, you said, I either can be on the run for the rest of my life because I'm going to be suspect number one, or I can turn myself in, and then I can, like, control my narrative that I, the Ed Kemper, saved all the other women by turning myself in. Otherwise, you would have turned yourself in before. And
I hung out with the police, and they had no idea because I'm so smart and clever. It's like, okay, yeah, he was a talker. He's a talker too, Ed.
Oh, Ed's amazing in that regard. Like, apparently, like, people are like, he's got a high IQ. So I did this thing with a forensic psychologist a while back, and we were talking about his high IQ, and she said, yeah, well, did you know that he did one IQ test and he didn't like it, so then he started being the one to administer the IQ tests. And also, IQ tests, as we all know, don't really fucking mean shit. Like, there's a thing called emotional intelligence, right? Yeah. As we all know, which doesn't register on your, like, IQ test, but is, like, equally as important as what shape comes next in the pattern recognition.
Hanging out at bars or a bum, or I wasn't a pervert in the sense that, people look at somebody and say...
Sorry, one last thing. He's also here, he's really pumping up, maybe with that whole moral thing and all that as well, he's, like, pumping up Dobson's agenda a little bit, right?
Yeah. Yeah, he's giving Dobson what he wants.
Thing again, and yeah. Same with this. Like, I wasn't hanging out in bars. I was a good guy.
I know there's something wrong with him and just tell. I mean, I was essentially a normal person. I had good friends. I led a normal life, except for this one small but very potent and very destructive segment of it that I kept very secret and very close to myself and didn't let anybody know about it.
Okay, yeah. So what about that small? So can it be a small part of you that is incredibly destructive and dangerous, or does that have to be a big part of you? I think it's he's saying small. Why would he say small?
Well, if he's trying to control his narrative and sanitize it, it's easier to say, look, I'm a great guy in so many ways, except, this little thing over here. It's that sort of, I can't be all bad, this moral justification, or try to this moral balancing between, I do all this good stuff, so when I do this bad one, it's not as bad. You hear killers say that a lot. It's like this small part of me.
Right. Like, if he said, like, this major part of me, then you're like, okay, he's mostly bad with a little bit of good. So he wants to say it as, I'm mostly good with this little bit of bad over here.
A little bit of bad is just really strong.
That's not my fault. Really? Yeah. That happened to me,
yeah. For me. Mm-hmm.
And part of the shock and horror from my dear friends and family years ago when I was first arrested was that there was no clue. They looked at me and they looked at the all-American boy, and I mean, I wasn't perfect, but I want to be quite candid with you. I was okay. I was. The basic humanity and basic spirit that God gave me was intact, but it unfortunately became overwhelmed at times. I think people need to recognize that it's not some kind of those of us who have been so much influenced by violence in the media, in particular pornographic violence, are not some kinds of inherent monsters. We are your sons and we are your husbands. And we...
That's what I used for my thumbnail initially. We are your sons and your husbands.
Husbands, yep, I remember seeing that on your thumbnail.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a perfect line for Dobson. That's what he wants. You know, like it's affecting everybody. Send me money so I can make it stop.
Mm.
Yeah, and plus it takes him and makes him just one of many. He's not special. He's not extra horrifying. He's just one of this group who went a little more extreme than the others who are watching this stuff. You know, because it's the we are your sons and we are your husbands. He's now part of a bigger collective and mixed in with that. And it's like, no, you're in your own special category. It's okay.
Yeah.
Ted.
There's a few others like you, but they're mostly over where you are right now.
Yeah.
Or we're going to be joining you soon, like the Ed Kempers or the Dahmers or the.
Yeah.
Interesting. We are your sons and your husbands. Yeah, and people did send Dobson a lot of money. This interview made him over $1 million.
It did.
I mean, not him personally, but who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The books are never opened. So.
Yeah.
Grew up in regular families, and pornography can reach out and snatch a kid out of any house today. He snatched me out of my home. It snatched me out of my home.
Sorry to pause it again so quick, guys, but I think that's an important one there, isn't it? Feels important.
Yeah, that's the one where I brought that up in my video, where he uses that word snatch and, you know, being snatched out of a home. And that's exactly what he did to the women. He snatched them and took them away. And yet he's using that word to describe what happened to him. So he's sort of like another sort of like, we're all victims of this. Me too. It's like, no, you were doing the snatching and the killing. You weren't being snatched.
Yeah.
20, 30 years ago. And as diligent as my parents were.
And believe me, they were diligent.
And they were diligent in protecting their children. And as good a Christian home as we had, and we had a wonderful Christian home, there is no protection against the kinds of influences that are loose in a society that tolerates.
You feel this really deeply, don't you?
Oh,
Ted, outside these walls.
Is that him supposed to be, is he saying that he's crying? I don't understand, or is he just...
He's supposed to look very emotional. You feel this very deeply. Oh, yes. Oh, please. Yeah. Oh, please.
Right now,
there
are several hundred.
Sorry?
I don't see any real tears. He's looking down so you can't tell if there's tears. It's like, oh, get over it.
Reporters that wanted to talk to you.
Yeah.
And you asked me to come here from California because you had something you wanted to say. This hour that we have together is not just an interview with a man who's scheduled to die tomorrow morning. I am here and you're here because of this message that you're talking about right here. You really feel that hardcore pornography and the doorway to it, softcore pornography, is doing untold damage to other people and causing other women to be abused and killed the way you did others.
Listen, I'm no social scientist, and I haven't done a survey. I mean, I don't pretend that I know what John Q. Citizen thinks about this.
That spot where I said, he sounds like me. Because I keep saying that. I was, listen, I'm no psychologist, I'm no expert, but...
But I've lived in prison for a long time now. And
Just one last thing quick too, as someone who knows language. John Q. citizen, where does that term come from? John Q. Do you
Well,
know?
the more usual term is John Q. Public rather than
Okay.
John Q. Citizen. And I'm not sure where it comes
It's
from.
John
It's supposed to
Q.
be
in general.
every-
Yeah. There's
Oh,
a
I have to
movie
look
called
that
John Q. even with Denzel, right? Like later on, like it's kind of like saying, isn't it kind of like saying John Doe or Jane
Yeah,
Doe
it's
or
just the
John
generic,
Smith? Yeah.
everybody with John Q. Public's
Funny
thinks.
anecdote. My mom growing up for years when she was young thought her dad's name was John Hancock. Because she would hear her mother say, "Put your," or is that what it is? The expression, "Put your John
Yeah.
Hancock here." Yeah, even though they're
John Hancock.
Canadian, but she thought that was her dad's name.
I was gonna say that is a weird thing for Canada,
Yeah,
I
they
mean,
still
makes
use
them
it here
people-
too. We got everything you guys have. You know how it is.
I've met a lot of men who were motivated to commit violence just like me. And without
Wednesday.
exception, every one of them was deeply involved in pornography, without question, without exception, deeply influenced and consumed by an addiction to pornography. There's no question about it. The FBI's own study on serial homicide shows that the most common interest among serial killers is pornography.
But that's not surprising. Like, I mean, it's not surprising that those two things do overlap, but it's like causation thing. It's like they don't, it's not surprising that if you are someone who has like sexual compulsions like that you're also going to be into porn. Like, of
Yeah,
course.
because I mean, the other thing he does here is he has his whole thing about I'm not a scientist and all this, and yet then he goes on to say, but I have been in prison for years and I've talked to lots of guys, as if he has done his own study. And then he quotes the FBI as if he's spent a lot of time researching this. So he says I'm not an expert, and yet he presents as if he is, or he thinks he is.
Just like
It's
me.
like, yeah, don't we all? Don't we all? You know?
Yeah.
That's true.
And it's real. It's true.
Ted, what would your life have been like without that influence? You can only speculate.
Yeah. Well, I know it would have been far better, not just for me, and it's, excuse me for being so self-centered here. It would have been a lot better for me and lots of other people. I know that, lots of other innocent people, victims and families. It would have been a lot better. There's no question, but it would have been a fuller life. Certainly a life that would not have involved, I'm absolutely certain, would not have involved this kind of violence that I have committed.
I'm sure, Ted, if I were able to ask you the questions that are being asked out there, one of the most important as you come down to perhaps your final hours, are you thinking about all those victims out there and their families?
Well,
So isn't this like the first time he's actually like got off the topic?
really mentioned it. Yeah.
Really, right? Like 20 minutes in here.
Who are so wounded, years later, their lives have not returned to normal. They will never return to normal.
absolutely.
Are you carrying that load, that weight? Is the remorse there?
Again, I know that people will accuse me of being self-serving, but we're beyond that now. I mean, I'm just telling you how I feel. But through God's help, I have been able to come to the point where much too late, but better late than never, feel the hurt and the pain that I am responsible for. Yes, absolutely. In the past few days, myself and a number of investigators have been talking about unsolved cases, murders that I was involved in. And it's hard It's hard to talk about all these years later because it revives in me all those terrible feelings and those thoughts that I have steadfastly and diligently dealt with, and I think successfully, with the love of God. And yet it's reopened that, and I felt the pain, and I felt the horror again of all that. And I can only hope that those who I have harmed, those who I've caused so much grief, even if they don't believe my expression of sorrow and remorse, will believe what I'm saying now, that there is loose in their towns and their communities people like me today whose dangerous impulses are being fueled day in and day out by violence in the media in its various forms, particularly sexualized violence. And what scares me, and let's come into the present now, because what I'm talking about happened 30 years ago, that is, in my formative stages. And what scares and appalls me, Dr. Dobson, is when I see what's on cable TV, some of the movies, I mean, some of the violence in the...
Let's stop for a sec. So, before we get into the dangers of television, boy, if you could see what's there now. But, Dobson asks him, do you regret this? And it's a yes or no question. Yeah. And he circles around it. And he sort of says, I feel the pain. It's like, what pain are you feeling? The pain of the victims, the pain of the families, or your pain, you know, whatever struggle you had at the beginning? He kind of says it, but then as he gets close to it, he immediately jumps to this stuff. He gets away from the whole talk about families and regrets and pain he's caused and goes right back into, but I'm just one of all these people that are wandering around in the streets, just ready to do the same thing over again. So he really doesn't, this would have been his opportunity to address the families and say, I am sorry. And then his whole thing about the last few days, the investigators and I have been talking about other murders I've been involved in. And I think he enjoys talking about them, but he was negotiating. He was trying to say, keep me alive and I'll tell you where more bodies are buried. Mm-hmm. He leaves that part out, you know, and they didn't go for it. They're just like, no, you're frying. So.
I want to take a quick opportunity here, Chris, to reintroduce you on the live stream, just because we've had around 50 people at all times in this stream so far today. And someone just asked, who is your co-host today and what kind of specialist is she? So today I'm joined by Chris from Guilty Words. That's a YouTube channel. And Chris, why don't you tell everybody what Guilty Words is about and a little bit about your background again?
My background is I was a language arts teacher for many years. I've been a professional writer for lots and lots and lots of years, and a self-confessed word nerd and studier of true crime. And Guilty Words is where we go in and we kind of deep dive into what suspects or witnesses say or what's been written, sometimes even what lawyers say, and the language they use that circles around things or might hint to where things are being where they're being deceptive, or just if they're being plain weird. And we look at all of that. So it's just a different way to look at true crime than right at the evidence. So yeah, I hope to see some of you folks over there. That'd be fun.
Yeah. So again, that's Guilty Words. If you just search it in the YouTube bar, I'll pop it into I'm going to pop a link in before this is over into the chat as well, so everybody can hop over there afterwards and subscribe and check out more. I mean, your channel's doing well as well. Like, what are you at? Like 40 something K? 40
something, yeah. 40 something. It's picking up.
Yeah, it's picking up. And like, I mean, like we know only 7 months ago I was at 4,000.
I'm just
Yeah.
amazed. Every so often I'm like, they know this is me, right? You know,
Yeah. It's fun. All
it
right,
is
well,
fun.
let's pick it back up here.
Movies that come into homes today with stuff that they wouldn't show in X-rated adult theaters 30 years ago. This stuff,
The slasher movies that you're talking about.
The slasher movies. What the fuck was that? But just sort of pause after like 2 seconds. But yeah, imagine today in comparison, especially with what's available to anyone at any time with streaming and all of that. And yeah, in comparison, right? Like it's way worse. And not to mention, shit. I forget what I was gonna say, but that's all right.
Well, Dobson, it didn't work. You didn't kill porn out, so still here.
Yeah.
that stuff is, I'm telling you, from personal experience, that is graphic violence on screen, particularly as it gets into the home to children who may be unattended or unaware that they may be a Ted Bundy who has that vulnerability to that predisposition to be influenced by that kind of behavior, by that kind of movie, that kind of violence. There are kids sitting out there switching the TV dial around and come upon these movies late at night, or I don't know when they're on, but they're on and any kid can watch them. It's scary when I think what would have happened to me if I had seen. I mean, scary enough.
I mean, sure, there's a debate that, like, yeah, kids shouldn't be watching violent movies. I mean, I remember not being allowed to watch Terminator 2 and seeing it, my cousins, and that scene where T-1000 goes poosh, and sticks the knife through Todd's milk carton through the back of his head. But so obviously it stuck with me. But there's also a discussion that I've had on the Dahmer episode and on this episode about parenting as well, and like, yeah, I mean, like, I can't even imagine the trouble parents must have these days in keeping an eye on what their kids have access to. I mean, so I think it's because I mean they're gonna find what they're gonna find, right? And it's even easier, much easier nowadays than it would have been there. He's talking about turning the clunk 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 dial on the old TV. Mom and dad just come downstairs and bust you. You know what I mean? It's not so simple now. So they got it on their phone. Like, so I think it's more about, like, hopefully you have an open relationship with your children and able to have those conversations about things and all of that, right? Which I don't know what the answers are.
And into stuff outside the home, but to know that children are watching that kind of thing today, or can pick up their phone and dial away for it or send away for it.
I want to try that. Dial away for something. We used to call it jerky boys.
Can you help me understand this desensitization process that took place? What was going on in your mind?
Well, by desensitization, I describe it in specific terms is that each time I'd harm someone, each time I'd kill someone, there'd be an enormous amount, especially at first, enormous amount of horror, guilt, remorse afterwards. But then that impulse to do it again would come back even stronger. Now, believe me, I didn't. The unique thing about how this worked, Dr. Dobson, is that I still felt in my regular life the full range of guilt and remorse about other things, regret and...
But you had this compartmentalized...
This compartmentalized, very well-focused, very sharply focused area where it was like a black hole. It was like a, like a crack, and everything that fell into that crack just disappeared. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. One of the final murders that you committed, of course, was apparently little Kimberly Leech, 12 years of age. I think the public outcry is greater there because an innocent child was taken from a playground. What did you feel after that? Was there Were there the normal emotions 3 days later? Where were you, Ted?
I can't really talk about that right now. That's weird.
That's too painful.
I would like to be able to convey to you what that experience is like, but I can't. I won't be able to talk about that.
Okay.
Ooh, that look.
Yeah, I paused it there on purpose. But so that whole bit there is, I think, one of the most telling parts of the entire interview. And I didn't come across this thought when I was watching it initially, but someone in the comments brought up that they thought that he doesn't want to talk about this not because it's too painful, but because no matter what he says, there's no way he can spin that one.
Yeah.
He can't blame anything. No matter what he says, it's like, no, you killed a child. Like, and the longer he stays on that, if this is a plea for whatever, reminding people of that is not going to do him any good either, obviously, and no one's going to forgive that no matter what.
Yeah, I was very surprised, and each time I watch this, I'm surprised Dobson brought Kimberly Leech up. He mentions her by name. She's the only one mentioned by name. She's the most, I don't want to say controversial, but the youngest. And Bundy doesn't seem too happy about it either. I mean, that look right there, like, how dare you? I wonder if that was a little bit off script.
Yeah, I think you and I talked about this in our little prep call too, maybe, but like, where I was saying, I wonder if they had talked because he said they talked the night before, if he said, hey, I don't want to talk about Kimberly in this interview. And then if he said that, and then Dobson brought it up anyways, and he's kind of a little bit pissed off, even with this look here. Like, I thought I told you don't bring that up, and you said, okay, now you're bringing it up.
Yeah. And the whole vague, oh, it's too painful to talk about. Well, you've talked about a lot of other stuff. You could address her parents or any number of things. And I'm not sure why. I don't exactly understand Dobson's motivation in bringing her up, because is he trying to say, was it worse for you because she was a child, or you regret it more, or I'm not quite sure what he was looking for from Bundy for that one.
Maybe it's just even a way of, like, in some regards, like, it like just really cements how bad porn can be for him. He's like,
well, that could be too.
It's the extreme in this case, right? Like, it caused him to go this far.
That's true. Yeah, he got worse and worse till he hit the worst.
You can't think of much more deplorable, like, in the the general public's eye, than doing that with a child, right? So
yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
Yeah. Somebody says that creepy look should be a meme. I don't want to see that meme. For what?
I can't begin to understand. Well, I can try, but I'm aware that I can't begin to understand the pain that the parents of these children that I have, and these young women that I have harmed, feel. And I can't restore.
Harmed, yeah. Harmed, right?
Harmed. You did more than harm them. You murdered them. Harmed. Yeah. Okay.
Just a real quick aside. I did pop the link to Chris's channel into the chat, and I'm going to do so again right now. There it is. Everybody see that. So right click it, open it in another tab, head over there after our video and subscribe. It's worth it. But yeah, this fucking, what did he say again?
Harmed. Yeah.
Yeah.
The children I harmed.
Minimization at its extreme.
really much to them, if anything. I won't pretend to, and I don't even expect them to forgive me, and I'm not asking for it. That kind of forgiveness is of God, and if they have it, they have it. If they don't, well, maybe they'll find it someday.
Do you deserve the punishment the state has inflicted upon you?
They haven't inflicted it on me yet.
That's a very good question, and I'll answer very, very honestly. I don't want to die. I'm not going to kid you. I'll kid you not. I deserve certainly the most extreme punishment society has, and I think society deserves to be protected from me and from others like me. That's for sure. I think what I hope will come of our discussion is I think society deserves to be protected from itself, because as we've been talking, there are forces at loose in this country, particularly, again, this kind of violent pornography, where, on the one hand, well-meaning, decent people will condemn behavior of a Ted Bundy while they're walking past a magazine rack full of the very kinds of things that send young kids down the road to be Ted Bundys. That's the irony. We're talking here not just about more. What I'm talking about is going beyond retribution, which is what people want with me, going beyond retribution and punishment, because there is no way in the world that killing me is going to restore those beautiful children to their parents and correct and soothe the pain. But I'll tell you, there are lots of other kids playing in streets around this country today who are going to be dead tomorrow and the next day and the next day and next month, because other young people are reading the kinds of things and seeing the kinds of things that are available in the media today.
Ted, as you would imagine, there's tremendous cynicism about you on the outside.
No. Like you were talking about earlier, the causality doesn't work. One doesn't lead to the other. But it just strikes me how much fear he's trying to implant here. He's, right from the "we are your sons and your husbands" line, all the way through this, there are children there who are now going to grow up to be Ted Bundys. He could wish. He probably wants that to be his legacy. But this idea that you can't trust anybody, this is so pervasive, and there's going to be a whole army of Bundys coming up. It's like, that's just weird.
Yeah, maybe it's a way again too of like normalizing himself, right?
Yeah, like the big we again.
Hey,
part of
yeah.
it.
There's so many more. It's not like I'm a freak.
Yeah.
There's all these other people are going to be just the same as me, man.
Yeah.
It's not my fault. It's it happens to all kinds of people. I just got caught, or like, I don't know, but like, again,
I'm just a little more extreme. My little piece was a little darker than somebody else's.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm mostly good. There's just that little bad. Yeah. Interesting.
Outside, and I suppose for good reason. I'm not sure that there's anything that you could say that people would believe. Some people would believe.
Yeah.
And yet,
I don't know why that part always gets me too. The way he responded to that is like that felt like that felt like a legit response almost. Like the only time where he went, yeah, when he said that no one believes what you say.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I don't know.
Every time I see that, it makes me kind of go, chuckle.
Told me last night, and I have heard this through our mutual friend John Tanner, that you have accepted the forgiveness.
John Tanner is probably like, hey, mutual friend, come on.
Yeah.
Leave me out of this.
Jesus Christ, and are a follower and a believer in him. Do you draw strength from that as you approach these final hours?
I do. I can't say that
it's going to be
being
easy.
in the valley of the shadow of death is something that I've become all that accustomed to, and that I'm strong and nothing's bothering me. listen, it's no fun. It gets kind of lonely, and yet I have to remind myself that every one of us will go through this someday, in one way or another, and countless millions who have walked this earth before us have. So this is just an experience which we all share. And
Yeah.
That's it. It just cuts off.
So, yeah, the experience we all share, like every man, it's like, well, yes, we all die, but we don't all die in the electric chair because we cause the deaths of so many other people.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say about. I said that about that in the video too. It's like, yeah, we all do experience death, not execution.
Yeah, not execution, but yeah. And then I guess they had a little prayer together, but they didn't record that part. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah, at the end of it, they prayed together.
Did he stay for the execution?
I don't know. I don't know. That's a really good question.
Maybe he did. Somebody Google it and get back to us in the comments. But yeah. I mean, apparently he had a really rough go of it the next day.
Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah, I've heard conflicting reports about how it was, but overall, didn't seem to. He hadn't made peace with it anyway.
Yeah,
let's put it that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there is that sort of edge of victimhood, self-pity at the end, where it's like, well, I got to say that it's lonely and it's this and it's that. It's like, okay, how do you think the women you were torturing and killing were feeling as you were doing that?
It seems like a very conceited, narcissistic, kind of like oblivious comment to make based on what you were doing, right?
Yeah.
To then like think that people are gonna feel that pity for you because you feel lonely right now.
Yeah. And he was probably, I mean, the least lonely person on death row. He was so famous and so many people wanted to talk to him, and he still had his wife visiting him and his daughter and all of that. So I don't know if his wife went to the execution.
Bundy's?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
good question.
Mm.
Yeah, he proposed to her in court, right?
Yeah, that's right. If they got that weird marriage thing, that's a whole nother segment is women who like marry serial killers in jail.
I have a few videos on that.
I'll find them because
the best example is, I can't remember her name actually, but the one with Danny Rolling. Are you familiar?
Oh, yeah.
The crime. She was like a bit of a crime writer. But oh man, he serenades her in court, and like there's footage of it, him like singing a song. They're like, do you have anything to say? And he starts to sing this love song, and it's hilarious because the stenographer's like typing the lyrics out. But
I might have to do an episode on that one.
I have a video. I think it's called How Do You Fall in Love with a Serial Killer? And in that, I released it on Valentine's Day, not this past year, but the year before. And I think I talked about everyone from even Ava Braun, who's not a serial killer, but I started it with Ava Braun and then went into people like the Richard Ramirez groupies.
There's tons.
BTK's, so and then I examined the idea of like BTK's wife, and like she didn't know, and I believe that, but like, can you fall out of love with someone overnight? When you hear that about them, you don't just stop loving the person because you hear that about, like, so there's that interesting kind of conundrum. I talked about there's a couple examples the other way, like Carla Homolka is married again. Paul Bernardo and Carla Homolka, the Barbie and Ken killers. They're Canadian, actually. But I forget. There was a couple others that I talked about in that episode. But yeah, I really, really liked that episode. Didn't perform well. This is before my channel had started to kind of go.
Oh, see? All of us will go back and find it now. So
Yeah.
there we go.
And then I offer like a very nice, touching my thoughts on love at the end with a nice pink backdrop and talk about love.
Oh,
Yeah, it is my chance to be all like sentimental and romantic, and no one saw it. Normally, I'm
that
just
doesn't
being a
come up very
jackass.
often. We talk
Yeah.
about serial killers all the time.
Yeah, so it was a nice breath of fresh air for me too for a minute, because truth be told, and I'm a big sappy guy when it comes down to it. Even though I have this channel, I'm a hopeless romantic. We're getting way off topic. That's kind of the point. But yeah, so guys, that's the Ted Bundy interview with Dobson. You've probably already seen my react video. The full version is on the channel if you want to see that. I mean, I talked a lot about a lot of the stuff that I did in that video tonight. But you could always check that out. I have a few others on my channel as well in that series. I call that series Press Play. I did a couple of different Dahmer interviews. And you guys want to hear something super cool? If you've seen that very first interview with Dahmer before, conducted for hard copy, and the interview person, the woman's name is Nancy Glass. Well, have you seen that interview with Dahmer? Well, this week, just a few days ago, I got contacted by Nancy Glass.
Wow. That's cool.
By that production company. She's got her own production company now. And I got a meeting with them on Friday to discuss, well, who knows? It's just like a big picture meeting for the channel, and like just to talk about the direction of the channel. And I guess they liked that video, the production company. So there could be some cool shit coming out of that. Who knows? Maybe I'll have some cool stuff to do. Maybe it's just an exploratory call. I don't know, but it should be fun.
That is cool.
Yeah. So you never know what happens out of these channels. Like I got followed by BTK's daughter at one point on Instagram, which was kind of creepy. But yeah, so I've got an interview I've got 2 Dahmer reaction videos in the Press Play series. I've got 1 Kemper and this Ted Bundy one. And over on Chris's channel, she's got her breakdown of this Bundy interview. What are some of the other stuff on your channel that you think people, if you were to say, hey, you want to see the best I got, check this video?
So I don't necessarily specialize just in serial killers.
Yep.
It's the current cases, but the Lori Vallow Daybell case and all of that. I don't know if that was followed so much in Canada or not, but Lori and Chad Daybell, and they called her the cult mom. Religious fanatic, killed her kids, married, and his wife, and then all that stuff. But and then the more recent case, the Corey Richens case, I've been doing one on that. I've got another video coming about they read her children's statements in court, and there's a whole thing about were the kids coached. So I'm looking at their language to show that no, I don't think they were coached. And we talk about sort of the history of like cases back in the 80s, especially, where kids were coached on what to say and what the courts do about it. But so those are some of the ones floating around, and a throwback to Lizzie Borden I'm working on. So
awesome. Cool.
Yeah.
So I've popped the channel link again there in the chat. So make sure you get over there after we're here, and I hope Chris sees some subs pop up. I mean, there's about 40 people in here right now. But yeah, does anybody in the chat have any questions? We got another. I'm gonna go for another 7 minutes here till 10 to, and then we'll call it a night. But any other thoughts on Bundy down in the chat? Any thoughts on anything anybody wants to talk about channel related? Just, I guess, looking forward in this week, I've got a video on the history of true crime coming out on Saturday morning. As I say in the beginning of the video, I'm not going back to that original crime with that woman and that snake. But I'm getting close. I'm going back to ancient Rome and then making the way from there. True crime has always existed, just the medium has kind of changed over time. So believe it or not, there was true crime in ancient Rome. So it's going to be, it's a cool video, I think. I've got a lot of work to do on it yet before it's ready to release, but I should be good to go. I've got a couple more True Detective magazine episodes coming out in the following weeks. Again, the headlines are just... It's like this headline here. You can't kill a virgin for trying to... Yeah, you can. This one's good. The fickle homo is Jill's lover. And murder ended the deaf mute's sex games. And this is the one that we already did. You want to talk language? Here's language, Chris. I said, you call that a hang-up? A hang-up is like, I said in my videos, like a hang-up is like you don't like to watch foreign films. Not doing that with dead women. But like that series of videos is just me flipping through these old magazines page to page, and it's all about a vibe with old noir jazz playing in the background and me sitting in the smoky room, and we just talk about what's on the page. So they're unscripted. A couple of those are coming out, and then I got a Bonnie and Clyde episode coming out after that.
Bonnie and Clyde. Wow.
If
you cover a wide range.
Yeah, well, the channel started to branch out over the last little while as well, from just serial killers into crime in general and stuff. And I have the couch content, which is where I'm really jokey. And that's kind of progressed into being more episodes on guys like, are you familiar with Charles Bronson over in Britain?
No.
Or Chopper Reed in Australia, or Bonnie and Clyde, or I just did an episode on Stockholm Syndrome and Clark Olofsson, where that comes from and stuff like that. I'm doing that on the couch more so now, that kind of guy, that kind of person, rather than serial killers. And then serial killers have been relegated over to the void, where I do the more serious content now. And Where Did All the Serial Killers is coming back for season 2, as I'm calling it. Not that that matters, but we're digging into a whole pile of new theories that are out there, including MK Ultra, including abortion, there's a lot to talk about yet. So I'm hoping that pardon me?
It is. There's so much. I mean, I could do this 24/7, love every minute of it, and still not cover everything that I'd like to. So,
I get that comment a lot. Like, aren't you going to run out of like serial killers or content? It's like, no, absolutely not. I've never.
No.
Never.
No.
And as the channel grows and I get closer and closer to being full time, it will just get better and better, because we'll have the resources I'll be able to shoot more often rather than having to bulk shoot like we do now. So
that's cool.
It could be good. MK Ultra content's going to be tough. Are you familiar with MK Ultra?
Not really, no.
It's people bring it up all the time. It's like, it's a conspiracy. It's kind of true. I don't know enough about it yet.
Okay.
I know it did actually exist for sure, but to what extent is really, I think, what's up in the air. It's like government, like a government program where like guys like Charles Manson were like used and experimented with, and they basically created Charles Manson and stuff like that. Right? There's a lot more to it than just that, but Kaczynski gets mentioned in there. The Unabomber.
Yep.
People start throwing it around. I got to do a lot of research, so I can't talk about it with any kind of authority at all right now. But like, people start throwing that Dahmer was like this. It's like, nah. But we'll see. What did I miss? 8-Ball Superstar. You missed. Today we did a watch through of the Ted Bundy Dobson interview, his final interview, just like 12 hours or a day before he was executed. And I watched it together with Chris from a YouTube channel called Guilty Words. And Chris, one last, give us again what your channel is about, just for those that are here.
We break down language around different crimes, either what the killer said or texts or evidence, sometimes what the lawyer said, letters, diaries, confessions, and just try and get into it and behind it based on their word choices and some of their syntax and stuff. A different way to look at the crimes.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think it was a super fun conversation today.
It was. I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much for having me, and thanks to everybody in the chat for joining us.
Yeah,
I really had a good time.
Thank you, Chris. Really appreciate you taking the time to hang out on my channel. And let me know whenever I can do to repay at some point. And in the meantime, yeah, everybody, I'll pop it down in the chat one more time here as well. There it is. Make sure you get over there and subscribe and check out some of Chris's content. And yeah, I think that about wraps up this portion. I'm just going to go over to another screen. Hey, Chris, do you want to hang out for a few minutes so we can chat after?
Sounds good.
Okay, I'm going to just pop over to another screen here for a minute. Okay. So... Bye, Chris. I'll see you in just a couple minutes. I'm just going to pump.
Good night, everybody. Bye.
Oh, look at this. This looks great. So, just giving a little heads up that these boxes, these beautiful boxes here that you see, are still available. I just had a few people asking about it in the comments. I've got like... I don't know what the stock level is. It's very low at this point. I was just over at the post office the other day getting in an extreme fight with them over the shipping. But yeah, if I know some people were still looking to get them, they're still available for a short period of time. You can see the link there, breakfastcerealshop.com. Just a heads up, the prices are listed in Canadian dollars, so I think it's $24.99 Canadian, which translates or converts roughly to about $18 and change in US. Once you get to the cart, it will show Canadian regardless. Sorry about that. It's what has happened being in Canada, and I create my store here. It makes me list it in Canadian dollars. I wanted to list it in American because 98% of my audience is US, but that's it. But yeah, so I still have each of those left. You got Dahmer, Kemper, Gacy, and Eileen. And if you are interested in joining my channel, you can do so on the channel. There's a join button, and you can join the channel. It's $3.99 to join. All that really helps support the channel, really helps me grow towards becoming full-time on the channel. And right now, the proceeds are going towards me buying storage thanks to AI screwing up the prices of hard drives right now for me to build a new server. I don't throw anything out on my channel, so for me to build a new server costs an insane amount of money. So I'm putting all that towards that. If you become a member, you also get access to some pretty cool perks. You get like some early release. We're going to be having some members only live chats very soon. We're going to be, what else do they get? Some custom badges, stuff like that. There's a couple bonus videos that don't get released publicly as well. Things like that. I'm thinking of releasing pretty soon my very first screen tests for the channel just to the members, which is hard for me to do because they're embarrassingly bad, because it's before I'd ever done anything. but people have been bugging me to see some of that stuff, and I'm happy to release it to members, just not publicly. So yeah, that about, I think, wrap things up. I'm gonna go. Yeah, I don't have anything else planned for tonight on this thing, but thanks again. Make sure you do get over to Chris's channel, and yeah, I'll catch you guys on Saturday, and take care, everybody.